It started with a single video, just a few seconds long. But those seconds were enough to infect the internet with a deep, primal fear. The kind of fear you remember from childhood, the kind that made you pull the covers up to your chin. The clip was uploaded with a simple, chilling title, "Never Look Under Your Bed." POV from under the bed, dark, claustrophobic. Dust bunnies, forgotten socks, wooden bed slats framing the view. It felt disturbingly real, as if the camera had been left there by accident. For a moment, nothing happens. Faint, muffled breathing from above. The sound of someone asleep, safe. Then, from the deepest shadows on the edge of the frame, something moves. A hand emerges, pale, thin, fingers unnaturally long. The skin looks waxy, almost translucent. It twitches once, then slowly, deliberately, begins to creep forward across the floorboards. The video cuts out just as the fingertips reach the edge of the light. The clip went viral overnight, shared, reposted, debated. Millions watched, millions felt that same cold dread crawl up their spines. Our team came across the video like everyone else. At first, we were skeptical, but something about this one stuck with us. This film is not just about a viral video, it is a case file. Our goal was to dissect this event from every possible angle. We knew we couldn't just analyze the clip from a distance. We had to go to the source. Our investigation is built on a promise to you, the viewer. We will show you everything we discovered, holding nothing back. We will present our findings in 3 parts. First, we will hear from the person who filmed it. Next, a forensic breakdown of the footage itself. With the help of digital analysts, we will examine every frame. Finally, we will take you with us. We returned to the house. We spent the night there. The final minutes of this film contain that new, unseen footage. But we must give you a warning. What we recorded that night was different. It was worse. To understand what we are dealing with, we must first return to the clip itself, not as a viral sensation, but as a piece of evidence. The footage is short, just 17 seconds in total, but within that brief window, a story unfolds. The first thing our analysts noted was the sheer darkness. It is not a uniform black, but a layered, textured void. Dust motes drift lazily through the air, illuminated by a sliver of light coming from an unseen source. It is at this exact moment, at the 10-second mark, that the movement begins. A deeper patch of shadow in the far left corner of the frame seems to detach itself from the surrounding darkness. The light catches the very edge of it, revealing a pale, almost gray surface. It glides. The visual texture of the object is smooth, unlike the rough wood of the floorboards. It is alien to its environment. The first question any forensic analyst asks is, where did the camera come from? Based on the EXEF data, we know the device was a Wisecam V3. It is small, inexpensive, known for its decent low-light capabilities. The placement of the camera is also key. It was set on the floor, pushed back against the wall, under the center of the bed. Wide-angle lens, slight edge distortion. It barrels the image, making the space feel confined and claustrophobic. The lighting is another piece of the puzzle. The single low-wattage light source was consistent with a standard nightlight. That creates a sliver of illumination and long, deep shadows, perfect for hiding things. Let us focus now on the hand itself. The first thing that strikes you is the color. It is not the color of healthy human skin. Our video analyst ran a color spectrum analysis. The subject hand reflected light in a way that was significantly different. We performed a photogrammetric measurement. Our estimate puts the length of the index finger at nearly 6 inches. The joints appear to be hypermobile, bending at angles that look unnatural, almost painful. When the hand twitches, it is not a fluid human motion. It is a series of sharp mechanical jerks. One of the most disturbing details is the lack of any other body parts. There is no visible arm. There are no visible pores, no hairs, no fingerprints. The surface appears smooth, almost polished. The visual element of the clip is what shocks you, but the audio is what haunts you. The breathing is deep and regular, the sound of someone in non-REM sleep. It acts as the baseline before the intrusion. At the 11-second mark, Just as the hand begins its crawl, the breathing stops. For 3 full seconds, there is absolute void. A new sound emerges. The sound of the hand moving across the wooden floor. A soft, dry, whispering scrape. In the final fraction of a second, the sleeper finally lets out the breath they have been holding. It is not a gentle exhale. It is a sharp, shuddering gasp, the kind that happens at the peak of a nightmare. The sleeper was not oblivious. Our investigation began with a phone call. The uploader, a single mother named Anna, agreed to speak with us. Her voice was strained, tired. She told us the video was not a prank. It was a desperate attempt to understand what was happening in her son Leo's bedroom. It all started not with a sight or sound, but with a feeling. A persistent, creeping sensation of being watched. She would be tucking Leo into bed, and she would get a strange feeling from the corner of the room, near the closet. The feeling soon started to follow her. She would be in the kitchen late at night and suddenly feel a cold spot behind her. She started double-checking locks, convinced someone was trying to get in. But everything was always secure. Leo was a happy, imaginative child, but his behavior began to change. He had never been afraid of the dark before, but now he refused to sleep without a nightlight. He would complain about nightmares, waking up in a sweat, crying about the man with the long fingers. He started developing strange bedtime rituals. He would line up his stuffed animals along the edge of his bed, like furry soldiers standing guard. Anna would hear Leo talking in his room when he was supposed to be asleep. When she asked who he was talking to, he would give the same chilling reply, "The quiet man." He said the man was shy and only came out when it was very dark. He said the man's hands were very cold. The activity escalated from feelings and whispers to physical manifestations. Anna would find things out of place. One morning, 5 stones were laid out in a perfectly straight line, leading from the space under his bed to the closet door. It was deliberate, calculated. The sound started soon after. Faint scratching noises coming from under the floorboards, always late at night. She called an exterminator. He found no signs of pests whatsoever. The house was sealed tight. The final straw was the handprint. While cleaning, sunlight hit the wood at just the right angle, and she saw it. A long, slender print with fingers far too thin to be a child's. It was the print of a hand gripping the bed frame from underneath. Seeing that handprint was the breaking point for Anna. She needed proof to show the world she wasn't losing her mind. She went out and bought the Wise camera. That evening, after Leo was asleep, she crept into his room and placed it under the bed. She retreated to the living room with her phone. The live feed glowed on the screen, showing the exact view from the viral clip. For over an hour, nothing happened. She was about to turn it off and go to bed. That's when it happened. A shadow in the corner detached itself from the darkness. The pale, waxy thing began to emerge. She didn't scream. She couldn't. She only stared at her phone. The live broadcast of the nightmare under her son's bed. Armed with Anna's story, we knew we had to go to the house ourselves. We assembled a small team with a battery of equipment. Outside, the house looked deceptively normal. A simple suburban home on a quiet street. Anna opened the door, and the air inside felt heavy, still. Mid-afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, but couldn't penetrate the quiet dread. Anna led us upstairs to Leo's room. It was just as she described, a child's room, full of color and life, but with an undercurrent of anxiety. Stuffed animals stood guard on the bed. The closet door was wedged shut with a small wooden block. We began by observing the layout. We looked for rational, physical explanations. We started a physical search. Our investigation began with the things we couldn't see. Our tech specialist started with creak mapping. For an hour, we walked around the house, mapping every single sound. We created a complete audio profile of the home's natural noises. The scratching Anna described was not among them. The sounds she heard were not the house settling. Using thermal imaging, we scanned every inch of Leo's bedroom. The room presented a uniform thermal picture, except for one spot. Directly under the bed, the thermal camera registered a faint, persistent, cold spot. It wouldn't go away. When we passed the EMF meter over the space under the bed, it spiked. The needle jumped into the red, chattering wildly. We now had 3 distinct, unexplained data points, all centered on the same location. Something was happening in that space. With preliminary sweeps complete, it was time to rig our own cameras. Our main camera was a high-definition 4K night vision model. We placed 3 cameras, one under the bed, one in the corner for a wide shot, and a small camera inside the closet. All 3 cameras fed live to our monitoring station downstairs. We would see everything from multiple angles in perfect darkness. As night fell, the atmosphere in the house grew thicker. We sat watching the 3 silent, green-tinted feeds. For the first few hours, nothing happened. The room remained still. We watched and we waited. Then, just after 2 a.m., the lights on our equipment rack flickered. A burst of static erupted from the audio feed. The static burst put us on high alert. It was a low, guttural click, like a tongue clicking off the roof of a mouth. Then came the mid-investigation reveal, a corrupted file. A short video recorded by a phone at 3:13 a.m. when we were all downstairs. When we cleaned up the image, we saw it. In the frame stood a pair of feet. Long, pale, bare. There was no body attached to them. We checked our main cameras for 3:13 a.m. The wide shot showed the room was empty. Yet this phone had recorded feet standing where no one was. This suggested something far more complex. A digital ghost, leaving traces in corrupted files. The creature wasn't just under the bed. It could be anywhere. And it knew we were watching. To broaden our understanding, we consulted Dr. Althea Ramos, a folklorist specializing in domestic supernatural entities. She told us the underbed creature is one of humanity's oldest, most universal fears. Nearly every culture has a version. The creature is rarely seen whole. A single terrifying body part suggests presence. This fragmentation is key to the horror. Dr. Lena Petrova argued that the bedroom is a unique psychological space. At night, it transforms into a theater for the subconscious mind. She left us with a chilling thought. Perhaps a child's fear acts as a beacon, attracting something that is already there, waiting in the shadows. Marcus Thorne, a forensic video analyst, offered rational explanations for each piece of evidence, but he couldn't explain why all anomalies occurred in the exact same spot. His final assessment: compounding error and confirmation bias. A perfect storm of fear, imagination, and technical ambiguity. After consulting the experts, we were left with a tangled web of possibilities. The data was contradictory. We had only one option left: to spend one final night in the house. Anna and Leo stayed with relatives. The house was ours. We set up our command center in the living room. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation and thick, quiet dread. The first few hours passed with unnerving stillness. The thermal anomaly remained, but nothing moved. It was as if our presence had scared the phenomenon away. We began to think the skeptic was right. Perhaps it was all just coincidences we had woven into a ghost story. Then, at 2:58 a.m., it began. A low hum emanated from our speakers. It was a deep, resonant frequency, almost too low to hear. We could feel it vibrating in our chests. On the underbed camera, a faint, pulsing red light appeared in the deep shadow. It pulsed with a slow, biological rhythm, like a monstrous heartbeat. A new sound joined the hum, a distorted lullaby, the same one Anna sang to Leo every night. But it was playing backward, twisted into a sickening dirge. The house was no longer quiet. It was performing for us. Then, on the main monitor, we saw it. The hand emerged once more, but this time it was not hesitant. It moved with terrifying purpose. It reached out, gripping the wooden bed frame. The long fingers wrapped around the slat of wood. And we heard a splintering crackle over the audio feed. It was pulling at the bed. A deep, guttural breath washed over the lens, fogging it. A voice, a dry whisper, spoke directly into the microphone. The word hung in the air, a chilling personal violation. Before we could process what we had seen, the feed cut out. All 3 cameras went black. The humming stopped. The twisted lullaby vanished. The house was plunged back into profound, suffocating silence. The fear was no longer abstract. It was a physical presence that had just looked back at us, spoken to us, and slammed the door in our faces. We never recovered the footage from that final event. The data was irretrievably corrupted, just like the file from the phone. All we have is our testimony, the memory of that pale hand gripping the bed, that impossible breath, and that single whispered word. We left the house before dawn and never returned. We advised Anna to do the same. The entity was no longer just a shy, quiet man hiding in the shadows. It was active, powerful, and it knew who she was. The mystery of the viral clip was solved, but it was replaced by a much larger, more terrifying one. What was this thing, and what did it want? It confirms that some primal childhood fears are not just fantasies. Sometimes there really is something hiding in the dark. We received one final anonymous text, a last, terrifying rule for a game we never wanted to play. The message was simple: don't sleep with the door closed.